All right, and we are live over here on Facebook. I'm attempting to get a YouTube live video as well, so welcome back. It's been a few weeks since I've been joining you, and it's been crazy. I just spoke at a conference yesterday over here in Las Vegas, and I have been doing workshops, that sort of thing, so it's been a little while. It's been a spell since I've been here, so for those of you that haven't tuned in before, this is a live session where I just do Q&A on any leadership issues. We talk about practical things here. I try to bring some theory and put it into practice for you. So we're real-time leaders just dealing with any of the struggles, frustrations that we happen to be dealing with in our workday world. So if you have any questions, drop down into the comment section. I'll be happy to get to those. In the meantime, I do have a few questions here that I received offline over the last couple of weeks while I've been missing you. And the first one is from Clarissa. And the question is in relation to her workplace isn't necessarily one of those that allows you to weed out the poor performers. So she doesn't have the ability to weed out poor performers, yet she is at the same time tasked with keeping them up to snuff as far as expectations, that sort of thing is concerned. So a lot of concerns here in regards to how she can effectively do her job when management doesn't necessarily support her if she wants to draw a hard line in regards to a particular individual. And so talking through some scenarios that she laid out there is that what you have to do is you have to get back to, I want to say, the basics, and you take what you can get. All right, so what I mean by the basics is you do the basics of your job. You do the evaluations. You hold them to the expectations. But what I mean also by those basics is that you document and you make sure that you have specific examples that you are going through with them so that they have a clear understanding of what it is that you're looking for. Now, in this particular case, we have an employee that she lays out that is very defensive, that doesn't take any criticism, that thinks that she's singling out this particular person for all of these negative reviews, that sort of thing. That's where you get to the specifics. That's where you get to the documentation, not just with this particular individual, but with all the individuals. This is you showing fairness to your team and this particular person in particular. So you want to lay out what the problems were and what the corrective action is. A lot of times what you have with this is you have an employee who, by being defensive, by getting emotional, is able to get their way. What has happened is oftentimes they have been rewarded for this bad behavior by other managers and other team members. And so they have been trained basically to do this, and that ends the discussion. Don't let them end the discussion that way. So come to them with specifics. Come to them with a team attitude. This is what I want you to work on. Specifically, let's work on this week, and then let's see how we do. And that's how you take an approach to all of the team members. So when they complain to management, and this has happened in the example with Clarissa, when they go to management and they complain that you're singling them out, you can show management, no, this is exactly what's happening with everybody else. Sure, this particular individual is getting a 75% on their quality assurance scores, but I'm following the exact same procedure with the individual that's getting a 90%. We're still working on a couple of things, just like I am with this particular individual. And so you use the specifics as powerful training tools, but also as powerful backup. And this is a test for you in testing your fairness and how you're documenting things. So when you have an individual, and Julia, it's so good to see you here, when you have an individual who is giving you a hard time in regards to how they do the job and taking that particular feedback, you can always come back to them with the specifics, and you can let them know that you're holding everybody else accountable. So it's putting your ducks in order, getting back to some of the basics. It's not fun. It's not fun to coach a person who doesn't want to be coached. It's not fun to be accused of singling them out when you're just doing your job. But get back to the roots of what you're doing, make sure that you're doing the things that you are, take it as a test, and then keep going forward from there. Disengaging in an environment like that isn't something that's going to make your soul feel good. And so you need to just step up and step into those difficult situations and realize that's where a lot of it comes in. It's not necessarily fun, it's not necessarily easy, but it is something that is worthwhile. So I have a couple of other questions to get here, but if you have any questions, any struggles, anything you've been dealing with this week that just hasn't worked out, or that you're dreading dealing with later on, drop them down in the comment section. I will be happy to field them there. I'm going to go ahead and try to close out of this particular session over here. YouTube is not wanting to give me a live session here, so I'm going to close it out. So if you have any questions, drop down in the comment section. I will go ahead and field them there. In the meantime, I do have another question, and it's a good one. It is in regards to, is there any book recommendations in regards to communication issues? Recently had a complaint about my approach to conversations and my reactions. Situation is shocking. I care about my team. What can I do? So, book recommendations in regards to communication. The first one is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It is the Bible, for lack of a better term, as far as communication techniques are concerned. If you haven't read it, then read it. If you haven't read it in the last 10 years, then read it again. I will be this Friday reviewing the book Crucial Conversations, and I haven't read it before, so that may be one that you want to get into, but actually just tune in noon this Friday Pacific Standard Time to my discussion in regards to that particular book, and you may have a feel whether that's something that fits in or not. I will give one particular piece of advice in regards to communication issues, and when you care about other individuals but they're not recognizing that care, what I want you to do is I want you to try to take the emotion out of it, okay? Go in with a little bit of a level head. And the way that you do that is you trigger the logic aspect of things. A lot of times when there's miscommunication about caring, that sort of thing, the thing that is being missed is the why. The reason you're giving them that directive, the reason you're responding in the way that you are. A lot of times we take it as a given that the employee understands why it is that we're frustrated, why it is that a particular action is so important, why it is that we're asking them to do a particular thing. So my advice in regards to that, when you see miscommunication start trickling into your leadership, is to add a simple sentence fragment. I'm asking you to do this because such and such. And the because is why it's important. Why you're asking them to do it. So add just that little sentence fragment at the end, and that's something that can really help your communication and hopefully deal with so many of those issues that you might be running into. Next question is a really good one, and that is, do you have teachings on how to handle team members regarding their political views? Is it okay to discuss that inside the office? If it's not, why? And thanks. You have to be very careful, and especially in this environment, stateside here in the United States, you know, the politics is really, really charged up right now, and so it's very difficult to have those conversations. And so in this environment, I generally recommend staying away from any political discussions that you want to get into. If you do get into a political discussion, you have to be very careful in laying out both points of view. As the leader, it's important that you are recognizing everybody. And if you come down on one particular side of an issue, especially in today's environment, you're going to find that you have turned off half of your staff. Half of the population is Republican, half of it's Democrat. So it's a 50-50 ballgame. You're going to please half the people and piss off the other half of the people. So generally, I'd stay out of political discussions. If you do bring up if you get caught up in a political discussion, it's important that you are talking about both sides of the argument. And that's a good thing to do just in general, by the way, but it also, what it does is the effect of that is they don't know necessarily where you stand on the issue. So you want to make both arguments. And that hopefully brings a little bit more clarity to the conversation that's taking place amongst your employees, but also kind of, I want to say, masks your particular political views, because it's not an environment right now where you really want to have those discussions. And it's a shame. You know, having transparent discussions with your team is something that's important. Aligning behind goals that the organization has is completely separate in many cases from the political discussion that's out there. And there's far more things that all of us agree on than that all of us disagree on. And so it's a shame that the political environment is the way it is right now. But this is one of those things where I would recommend not necessarily having that discussion. Mikey, so good to see you here, and I'm glad you appreciate it. If anybody's got any questions, drop them down in the comment section. I'm going to give kind of the 15-minute warning on this, and then I'm going to go back over to YouTube and figure out why it didn't go live over there. But if you have questions that you kind of want to stay anonymous on, you can always direct message me on Facebook. You can always email me, cm@CameronMorsey.com. I will get them on the next episode of Mentor Minutes, and I will make sure to keep you completely anonymous, mask the situation that you might be in so anybody that's viewing can't attribute it to you. Also, if you're viewing this a little bit late, you're not catching this live, not a problem. Always drop down into the comments section. I will get them on the next episode. I check the comments on prior episodes just to make sure I didn't miss anything, and I will get those there. And always, you can check out my podcast and check out YouTube. I will eventually get this figured out how to go live over there at the same time. In the meantime, you're probably just going to get the replay over there when I move it over. So anyways, I really appreciate you all tuning in. I'm glad to get back into the swing of things with these Mentor Minutes episodes after kind of a crazy September. So I look forward to talking to you in the near future. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.